All right, there's that. Alrighty, we're up on Facebook, guys. I have a great guest for you today. I'm getting ready to start recording the What Are You Made Of podcast with Simeon Ivanov, and we are going to start here in 1 second. Bear with us. Welcome back to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, Mike C-Roc. So glad you're here. So glad that you listen. So glad that you support me. I can't do this without you guys. I want to always start the show with gratitude to let you know that how much I appreciate you, because this opportunity for me to be able to have a show to share content that I've been through in my life, but also to bring my friends along and share inspiring stories with you as well. It is truly an honor, and I want to thank you. And please do me a favor, if you don't mind, share this show and this movement with your friends, family, coworkers, so that we can get this thing around the world. And I want to reach hundreds of millions of people with the What Are You Made Of movement, and I need your help to do it. So I have to ask that of you, please. And so guys, today's show, I'm so excited. It's a Friday, I know, and I don't usually do Friday afternoon shows, but I had to do this one today because my man Simeon Ivanov is with us. He's the founder of United States of Zen, host of the 0.1% show, best-selling author of 0.1%, and an ex-professional Formula racing driver, dude. That's my favorite thing to talk about probably here in a minute. But after graduating in London, Simeon started a medical company with his brother, growing it from 0 to 15 million in just 5 years. After selling the business in Bulgaria, he moved to the United States with the goal of attempting to write the most valuable book that was ever written, which is awesome because I love lofty goals. And we're going to talk more about that in a second. He's also working to build the first city in the world focused on human advancement and quality of life. I believe that's called the City of Zen. And he's also, I'm going to end with this because there's a lot here, guys, and we'll get into more of this. But Simeon's name was on the list of the world's top 100 most popular racing drivers in 2007. So, guys, he's had a lot of things that he's been through, but here's the thing. The stuff that he's getting ready to get into is even bigger, and that's why I brought him on the show. Simeon, welcome to the What Are You Made Of show, man.
C-Roc, thanks for inviting me. It's amazing to be here.
Well, thanks, man. And listen, the show has a theme of turning setbacks, letdowns into rocket fuel for your future. That's Waymo rule number 1. Waymo stands for What Are You Made Of? And so I know that all the things that you have been through and what you're going through right now to try to get this city built, you've had setbacks, I'm sure. And I want to look deep into those and also find out what you use to convert into fuel for your future. So before we go into that, we always ask our guests, what are you made of?
Well, a lot of things, I guess. I think we all are made of a lot of things, and I think we are all kind of the same thing. If you strip off all of the social conditioning and all of our histories, in the end, we're all connected and we're all the same thing. And it just depends what kind of decisions we make. It depends on the environment we're born and we are living in. And that's why I want to build this city, to really be able to create the perfect environment, the way I envision it, the way a lot of people are connecting with me and say that they envision it as well. So what am I made of? Mostly dreams, I guess, because I don't associate myself with any achievements because they're the past. I believe that a happy person is a person who has a dream, not a person who has achieved his dream. So every time I achieve something, I just set the next amazing goal. And along the way, I obviously learned how to enjoy the journey, because I had a lot of successes in the past, a lot of failures as well, but I was not really happy with my journey. So now I am finally finding a way to just enjoy every moment. And even going through the struggles, I see them as opportunities to grow. And I know that it's just something or somebody is sending me these things to learn a lesson. So I think, dreams would be a good way to put it.
I love it, man. That's the first time someone's said dreams. And I love that, man, because you know what? A lot of times depression, anxiety comes from people that don't have dreams. They don't have hope. They have nothing to look forward to. And they may not have accomplished anything, or they may have accomplished something and they don't have anything to look forward to. So absolutely. I believe looking back is something that we can use for fuel, but I don't think it's used for hope. Right. So what's some things that let's start back in the past. How did you get into racing in the first place?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, I was born in Bulgaria, in a pretty average family. And average in Bulgaria is pretty poor for the Western standards. So just to give an example, my brother and I were considering it a feast if my parents were able to put spaghetti with sugar or ketchup on a table. But at least we had a roof on top of our heads. We had food. We were never hungry. So it was like we never felt like something was missing. And the thing that was actually missing for me was that I was I was just super average in everything and maybe below average. I was not good at sports, not good at school, not good at anything that I wanted to be good at. So I felt like my parents were not proud of me. I didn't feel good enough. I just had zero confidence. And one day, just by chance, my father and I went to this racing track to drive some go-karts, those normal rental go-karts that people go and drive.
Yeah,
And
buddy. We have them right across the street here. I live by the beach in Ocean City,
yeah,
Maryland, and we have several tracks near us, and
no,
we love it. We go hanging out, but we never went further than that. But that's how you got started, though, right?
we were doing that, yeah, we did the same thing, but this time the track was closed, and we went down either way. And my father saw a friend of his, and his friend's son, was doing a professional racing with karting. And these professional karts, they're like 10 times faster than the normal one, like amazing machines. Like I've watched them on TV, and I never thought that I would ever actually race something like this. I was a fan of Formula One. But his father said to my father, "Do you want Simeon to give it a try?" My father asked me. I said, "Of course." So I went in, put a helmet on, started the engine. This thing was so fast. I was so scared because it was like much different than what I expected. Did a few laps, went back to the pits, and everyone was silent. And I'm like, what happened? Like, did I do something wrong? They pulled me aside from this other kid that was the professional racing driver, and they said, "You did a faster lap time than a professional racing driver."
I love it.
and,
You know what's
and
funny about that though? Because when I go to this little go-kart track down here and we get into what do they call the dual engines or whatever,
yeah,
I'm actually a little afraid because I get in there and I just take it easy. And because I don't know, I just have like maybe a fear inside of me, but you just went like all out, huh?
I tried. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I was not really good, and that was the funny thing. I thought that wow, I must be amazing if I beat that guy. So my father and I decided that I will start racing professionally. He spent all of his money for me to be able to do that. And first race, I was last, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Like I was supposed to be better than those professional drivers. It appeared that the guy that I beat this day was the slowest driver in the national championship. There you go, surprise.
So what's the lesson there? The lesson there, we talk about this all the time, but
the lesson there is that great things don't happen easy. So I had to push, like when I saw that I was last, I was completely crushed because this was my hope that finally I will be able to be good at something. And I was disappointing my parents again. I was disappointing myself again. And it felt like shit. It was so bad. And I just, for the first time in my life, I said, this will not happen again. Like I will never be last again. And I will put in everything I have to become a champion in this thing. So for the first time in my life, I committed to actually put in the work to be able to achieve something. And in race number 3, I became first for the first time. And since then, it has been almost like in Bulgaria, the national championship, and South-East Europe, the international championship. I won all the races except when I had a technical failure and I basically didn't finish the race. I won races with broken ribs. Then I became 5th in the World Championship. That was 3 years after I started. Then I went to Formula Renault, was picked by one of the best teams there. And then I raced. I actually didn't race. I tested for the World Series of Renault, which is one step below Formula One. So in 5 years, I became one of the only drivers to reach a step below Formula One in such a short career.
Now, the other lesson with that is not to compare yourself with others, especially right around you. You should try to be the best in the world like you did at the end of the day, right? But if you just compare yourself to that one gentleman, he could have been like you said, he was the worst, right?
Yeah.
And you compared yourself to him, you beat him, but that just makes you the next in that line.
And that is the thing. I didn't learn the lesson so fast because I became first in Bulgaria and Southeast Europe in the first full year of racing. And I thought that I was invincible. Once again, stupid little kid. I was like 16 years old. And then I went to race in the World Cup and I was last again. Like the first time I tried, I was last. So the level was completely different. 150 of the best drivers in the world, I was last again.
What made you so good of a driver though in the first place? Like what is it about what you did?
Huh, that's something that I never really understood, because many of the drivers that I was racing against started when they were 6 or 7 years old. I started when I was 15. I have no idea. There must have been a little bit of a talent, obviously. There was a lot of work that I put in. I had an amazing coach who at that time was the best of the older racing drivers in Bulgaria, and he just put his heart and soul to teach me how to race. I quickly became much faster than him, thanks to him to a big extent, and thanks to this international experience. But why was I better than those guys? I have no idea. Obviously, there was a team behind it. Like with this guy that was helping me was like a big part of it. I raced with amazing teams and I was really fast. And then I raced with mediocre teams and I was much slower. So it's a team sport.
Yeah.
It's not just you. So there are a lot of things which you must combine, but there are also I learned a lot of leadership skills in that thing, because you're the center of this team, the center of this kind of like organization. And if you don't lead people well, and if they don't absolutely love you and trust you, they will not support you the way that other drivers are being supported, and you will not achieve such amazing results.
Yep. I love it, man. I love it. Here's the other thing though, in racing, obviously it's a team sport. You have to have good equipment, but what about the fact, is there feel involved? Like when you're driving, do you have to have, you got to be able to feel whether you should make a move or not, whether you should, what line you should take, right? You need to know what lines you should take, but also like a lot of times whether you should even, you're in the car, right? And you're trying to figure out, can you feel it? You know what I'm talking about? Like an instinct.
Yeah. And
Some
that's
people
the thing,
have it and
like,
some people don't, right?
when you start, nobody has it when they start. It's like with everything. If you want to you must get in a flow state in order to be good at racing. And when I'm racing, when I used to race, and when I got good at it after the first year, every time I get into the machine, I'm completely out. I mean, I'm not Simeon. I'm just this guy who has the helmet on top of his head and nothing else exists. So I get into a complete flow state where after the race finishes, I come out and my team starts to talk to me and tries to ask me why I did this or why I did that. I don't remember anything for at least 30 minutes after that, because I was not the person who was driving. It's nuts. It's completely insane.
So like that's in the zone, being in the zone. Then,
that is
right?
Like very, very deep in the zone. And I really missed this feeling, because it's like one of the most amazing feelings that one can get. And now I'm learning to get into this zone place with meditation and with my work, because that's when you achieve amazing things. That's when the best ideas come. That's when you do the right moves, because you cannot do it with your conscious state of being. It just doesn't work.
Right. So then you started a business with your brother, had success. And what kind of business was that?
We were selling medical equipment and devices to hospitals.
Right.
The success didn't come easy. 5 years it took us to be able to pay the debts that we went into and to pay ourselves the first big paychecks. Before that, we worked from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. almost every single day, including weekends, for years. And we worked our asses off until I totally broke, like mentally and physically. And that was the moment where we actually achieved all of the huge goals that we had, which was get all the 150 hospitals to be our clients, get all the major world manufacturers to be our partners, which meant like they needed to break their contracts with partners that they worked for 10 or 20 years to be able to sign up with some young guys who have no experience to start trusting us, which was a hard thing to achieve. But finally, when we did it, and for the first time, I was able to get my own apartment, buy a really nice car, travel business class to anywhere I want. I thought that this will make me happy finally, because I had no money before that. And I got completely depressed when this happened, like to my surprise. And that was the big wake up call for me, because I literally didn't go out for months. I was not picking up my phone. My family was getting pretty anxious about me. And yeah, like the whole office, like I was leading 30 people. People were calling me, clients were calling me. Simeon was nowhere to be found. And my brother finally came to my place. He was living nearby, and he handed me this book, and he said, just read the beginning. I'm like, all right, man. I threw the book somewhere. And a couple of days later, I went down to the first floor, and I saw this book under some pizza boxes and some dirty napkins. Put it out, brushed the crumbs off, and I saw it was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I was like, all right, like there's nothing better to do. I'll just read the beginning. Read the beginning, then I had to read the next chapter. Then I had to read the next chapter. And then I read the whole book in one sitting. And it, for the first time in my life, because I realized, I looked back, and for the past 4 or 5 years, didn't travel, didn't read a single book, didn't go out with friends, didn't see my family almost. Just my health was broken, my relationships were broken, everything was messed up except that I was making a lot of money. And I felt like, what the hell was I thinking? Like for so many years, like I missed on so many of the amazing things in life just to be able to make money, and now I'm not happy. And I realized that it shouldn't be like this. I realized I can make a lot of money and at the same time figure out how to be happy and healthy and have amazing relationships. And that's when I started this journey. I read hundreds of books. I bought a ton of seminars, spent tens of thousands of dollars, went to a lot of live events, did some pretty crazy things in the past years. And that's how the idea of my book was born, because from all of the knowledge that I was getting and from combining the knowledge from my business and the racing years, I created this system for myself to be able to lead every single hour of my life, to make sure that not only I'm able to achieve big goals, but I make sure that every single key area of my life is taken really great care of. And that's why the book is called Join the Club of the Richest, Healthiest, and Happiest, because that was my goal for myself. Like, all right, make a lot of money. Money is important. Like whoever says money is not important, like maybe never struggled a lot with money, maybe never had a person who got sick and they didn't have the finances to pay for their healthcare or something like that. So money is important. Like, good, make a lot of money, have financial stability and freedom, have time freedom, but at the same time, figure out what makes you happy. Spend your time doing more of that and less of those things that you don't enjoy. Spend time with the people you love, and take care of your health, your relationships, and live an exciting life. And that became my system. I'll be happy to talk about it. It's a pretty amazing thing that.
Yeah, I want to hear. I want to hear about that. Well, now, so that book is that a book that you wrote already, or you're working on that book?
Yeah,
because you had the 0.1% book too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is the book I'm talking about.
Okay, that's the same book. Okay. Now, before you get into that, though, let me ask you a question, because you said seminars and read a lot of books, and then you said something like you did a lot of crazy things. I want to hear the craziest thing you did when you're on your journey of personal development.
That's a good question, man. People usually skip that. The craziest thing that I did was last year. I was going through a lot of emotional struggle, because that's when our 2 kids were born, and my wife and I are from Bulgaria. Both of us, we are here by ourselves. We don't have any family. Our close friends don't live nearby. So we had zero support in the beginning, and we didn't sleep for months. And we got like in this dark place, when you don't sleep, you get completely insane. You're not yourself. You don't know what you're talking. You don't know what you're doing. And I was going to go crazy. And I did at the same time. I bought a house, spent almost all of our cash. I needed to make money fast. So it was really stressful. And I decided to go to an ayahuasca retreat. That was something I never thought I would do in my life. Just a few months prior to that thing. But in the end, it's a lot of people that I know and I trust a lot did it. I saw their results when they came back. They were completely new people. Like, they were completely revived. And I'm like, what the hell is this thing doing to people? So I went to Costa Rica, in one of the best places where you can do ayahuasca with professionals, doctors from the States and from Canada. Amazing place. I was, again, very skeptical until I drank the first cup of ayahuasca. And I went into this place, which it's impossible to describe if you haven't done it. Like if I ever speak to people who have never done anything like this, they can never understand what I actually mean. But I went with an intention to work on a couple of things, obviously to get rid of my stress. And one of the biggest things that I wanted to take care of was me being super judgmental towards people and myself, which was the worst thing. This was something that no matter how many books I read or how many meditations I did, it was just not going away, or at least it was going away very slow. So I went with a group of 15 other people. We spent time before we drank ayahuasca. 2 days before that, we were preparing. Like it takes like weeks of preparation before that with special diets and meditations and setting up intentions. And when I met these people that were gonna do it together with me, I was so judgmental towards each one of them because everyone goes with a big problem. A lot of people go with a much bigger problem than I. Like people got raped, or they have cancer, or like people go through a lot of shit to decide to go to something like this to be able to heal themselves. And I was really judgmental because they were just much different than me, and that's what I used to do. Like if someone is much different, I would judge them. And I drank this thing. I had the most amazing experience of my life. Like I would say, like other than the day when my kids were born and the day when I got married or like stuff like that, this was the best day of my life. Just me,
Wow,
the
man.
best. Yeah, just me lying down in this maloka in the middle of the jungle and being with myself and experiencing something which is happening within me. And I cried, I danced. It was like super crazy experience.
How long does it last when you take it?
About 5 or 6 hours, something like this.
Okay.
Different for everyone, but kind of like this. So we did it with traditional shamans, Shipibo shamans from Peru. It was like a really traditional thing, the exact same thing that they do in the jungle, in the Amazon. And when I woke up, I mean, I fell asleep in a maloka. I slept until sunrise. When I woke up, went to my room, took a shower, went to the restaurant to have breakfast with everyone, and I was seeing different people. Like these were not the people that I went to this place with in the beginning. Like I had zero judgment towards each one of them, and I felt, for the first time in my life, I felt free in my mind, free of any negative feelings, of any negative thoughts. And it was just the most incredible experience of my life. And it doesn't last forever, especially if you don't practice after that forever, basically, like right now. And that's why my system is helping me, my book, because before I went, I had a system in place to make sure that I follow certain habits to make sure that everything important that I learn, I implement in my life and I keep it with me every single day and I reap out the benefits out of it. So I integrated some of these things in my system now from the ayahuasca retreat, and I'm able to keep up with the amazing insights that I got there, which most people just miss out on because a few months after they're back to their normal life, they just get sucked back into their old way of being, which didn't happen for me. I can say that it was a transformative experience. Definitely the craziest things I've ever done. Wouldn't recommend it to everyone. In fact, it's not recommended for people who have certain medical conditions.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you're listening or watching, be careful, and definitely be careful where you do it, because setting and the people who are around is really important.
Now, did you get sick at all when you first took it? Like, does it make you sick or feel bad at all? Or is it totally just...
Not me. Some people vomit a lot when they do it, but it's not, they call it purging, and people that actually vomit during the ceremony, they say that they feel they're cleansing themselves and they're taking out something which is like wrong and something ill inside of them. So they feel that they're healing themselves through vomiting. I didn't vomit at all, but yeah, some people do.
And it makes you feel good, and then it opens up your mind, basically. Is that kind of how you can describe it?
No. It's different every night. I did 4 ceremonies. So 4 times we drank ayahuasca at night. And one of the first night was the best day of my life. The last night was the worst day of my life. It was the scariest shit I have ever experienced.
Oh yeah.
All of my fears multiplied by 1,000. It was really, really nasty. It was like really bad. I just wanted to come out of it as soon as possible, but this thing was not letting me go. And I was like, come on, like let me go, or at least tell me what's the point of this? Why am I going through this shit? And in the end, it was like a movie, and I learned why I was going through all that shit. And basically it kind of gave me it showed me that I could go through my worst fears, like in a really messed up way, nothing compared to the fears that you can experience in everyday life. And it gave me kind of like tools to be able to deal with those things and to realize that if I ever experience pain and deep fear or negative thoughts, it is not part of me, but now I see it as something external, like as a beast that is trying to eat out of my flesh. And because I disassociate from it, I'm able to get rid of it much easier than if I associate myself with the pain and the negative thoughts.
And then is there somebody with you there while you're doing it just to keep an eye on you?
Yeah. There are like 15 people in the Maloka. There's 2 shamans, and
Oh, so there's
there.
people, they're all in the same room with you. They don't
Yeah.
just put you in a separate room. And then
Yes.
so you sit there and you talk with people and interact with people while you're doing it?
No. Basically, you talk throughout the day, and then the moment you step into this Maloka, it's a huge hut uh, made only of wood, like beautiful place. You'll lie on this mat, and you are not supposed to do eye contact with anyone or speak to anyone. Everyone is in their own head doing their own thing.
And you have control of yourself not to do that. Like you don't just start talking because you have full control.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. But not, it just blows me away, man, because like, look, I went to college and you know, we drank beers and partied and all that kind of stuff and had some wild experiences with some other things, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, no, so I get it, man. That's awesome. I want to get into your 0.1%, that movement. I want to hear about that. What's that all about? What's the main theme or the mission behind it?
Well, the mission is really simple. I just want myself and everyone else who starts using the system to be the best version of themselves. And for me, the best version of yourself is you're able to make more money than you would ever need. You're able to experience happiness on demand, and you're basically healthy as much as you can possibly be and have the best relationships you can possibly have. And the way the whole system is structured, like people say, people try to do a lot of things. People try to implement a lot of habits, and 99% of the time it doesn't work, right? Like we all know, like people set intention in the beginning of the year, New Year resolution, 2 weeks into it, it's broken. And I realized along the way that if I have 10 things broken in my life and I try to fix one of them, like let's say I sleep really bad, I eat like shit, I don't meditate, I have really messed up relationship with my wife or my girlfriend or whatever. If I don't fix all of these things together at the same time, I would never be able to fix even one. And most people say do baby steps. It has never worked for me and a lot of the other people I know. Like, so some people stop eating junk food, but they still sleep like shit. I mean, they don't have a sleeping routine, so they never feel good. Some people have really messed up. They don't know how to communicate with the people they love, and they have messed up relationship, but they decide to start going to the gym and they get in shape, but they are never happy because they still have this huge problem on the other side. So I realized that we should be working on all those things together. And I have this analogy with an airplane. Like, how does an airplane work? Is it the engines that make it fly? Kind of, like a little bit of it is the engines, but then you must also have the wings, right? And then you must also have these flaps which open up so it can have drag and it goes up in the air. And then you must have the aerodynamics. And it is the same thing with this. Like, what makes a person live an amazing life? It is not one or two things. And after doing all the experiments, I wrote down 15, I call them skills. They're basically habits that if you follow every single day and every week, you will really start seeing tremendous differences in your life. And the system, I put it into an app. It is not my app. It's called Way of Life, but I tested 10 different apps, and this was the best one for the purpose. Basically, you have a visual representation every single day of how well you're performing with following these habits. And some of them are really simple, like have a sleeping routine, but obviously there are different things to the sleeping routine. You have to figure out which are your golden hours. And for me, golden hours is when is the exactly best time for you to go to sleep and wake up. Because if you mess it up with 10 minutes, you might sleep 2 hours more, but you will be more tired if you don't wake up at the right time for you, because it's different for everyone. For me in Bulgaria, I was supposed to, after testing, go to bed at 11 and wake up at 6. When I moved to the States, I'm in Orange County now. Here is completely different. I have to go to bed at 10:30 and wake up at 5:40 exactly to be able to wake up easily and not be tired throughout the day. If I wake up at 5:55, doesn't work. If I wake up at 8 and I've slept 3 more hours, doesn't work. And so that is just the first thing. But after I wake up, I open the app, and if I have followed strictly my sleeping routine, I put a green mark. If I didn't, I put a red mark. And then I move on to the next thing. Like, what is my next best move from here? It is breathing some fresh air and doing my morning meditation. And then I do this, click green. Then I do the next thing and the next thing. And then I have a special way of working throughout the day to really be able to get focused and get into a flow state. If I do 8 hours of really focused work, it's a green mark. If I didn't, it's a red mark. Then I have these other really tiny things like random act of kindness. Do at least one amazing thing for someone, especially someone that you don't know, every single week. Because when I coached some people through this system in the beginning, some of my friends who had really messed up issues, just as I did, I asked one of my friends, like, what was one of the best days of your life when you did something that made you cry tears of happiness? And he told me a story where he met his grandfather was in hospital. He went to visit him, and there were 5 other old people in the room together with him. And they were so poor that they were hungry, and because the hospital was not giving them enough food, they were hungry. So he went down, bought 5 pizzas, and took them to the old guys. And he said they were so grateful, so happy. Some of them started crying. And this guy, while he was telling me the story, he started crying himself. And I asked him, hey man, like when was the last time you did something like this? And he said something like 3 years ago. I'm like, why don't you do it more often? If it makes you feel so happy, if it gives you a feeling of purpose, and like, why? And I realized we're all like this. I was like this as well. Like, you have these moments of your life which make you feel that there is a purpose for you to be here, make you feel amazing, make you feel happy, and yet you don't do those things for some stupid reason. So I've implemented this habit as well. And then there is this other thing about relationships. I call it the weekly surprise. People often have amazing relationships at first, and then somewhere along the way, once they settle in, especially if they get married, they get super comfortable because now they've got this. It's sealed, right? I mean, you have the contract, you've signed it. She's not going anywhere.
You're done pursuing.
You're
right?
done hunting. Yeah,
You're done
yeah.
yeah, that's what. Yeah.
And you get so comfortable that the only thing you do is say to the person, "I love you," but saying it is not showing it, right? Saying it is not doing it. Loving is not saying it, it's doing it. So I realized, like, if I start being like this, back then I was not married, now I am. If I am like this, I will just have crappy relationships like most people do. So I have this weekly surprise thing, which is at least once a week, be an amazing partner. At least once a week, really show the person that you love them. If they love when you do this or that, when you say this or that, when you give them a small postcard, when you make a small surprise, do those things at least once a week. This way, like, she or he will know that you actually love them, and it's not just you saying it because you got into the habit of saying it. It's so much better when you actually show up. And the funny thing is, once you start doing it, you actually start receiving more. And each one of these habits starts building up on each other, building up. And it creates this ripple effect that has tremendous positive benefits throughout your whole life in the end.
Yeah, Simeon, the thing with your wife or your spouse, man, a lot of times what happens is it's a reflection. Like you said, you see a difference in them. I talk about this a lot too, but you see that. Now, if you have a reflection of yourself because you're not happy with yourself or the way you're treating, and that reflection comes back, you ever look at a mirror and have two mirrors set in front of each other. And it's like a long hallway, right? Have you seen that before? And so if you can imagine negativity or positivity in this long reflection hallway, which would you prefer? And that's what it comes down to right there. I mean, that's phenomenal, man. I love it.
So that's pretty much it. There are 15 of these habits. They're kind of like more crazy things like doing cold showers and special visualization techniques and stuff like that. But it's
cold
really
showers
simple.
with your spouse.
You can do it with a spouse as well. Yeah.
No, but so the thing, where did the 0.1% come from? What's the significance of that number?
Yeah, well, we all know that what the top 1% is like, right? People who make the top 1% of money. But out of these people, there are only like a really small minority who not only know how to make a lot of money, but be really happy and healthy at the same time. So these are the 0.1% for me.
Gotcha. And we're short on time, but I want to hear about the city that you're creating. Can you get into that and give us a little bit of intro on that and where you are with things?
Of course, yeah. Well, the idea of the city came, I can say a little bit of it came after ayahuasca as well, because what ayahuasca does is it opens your creativity quite a lot. So I started getting new ideas, and I also have this system to unveil new purposes in my life, which is pretty amazing. I talk about it in the book as well. And once the kids were born, I realized that the cities that we're living in were not made for humans and for quality of life, but for profit. And not for profit for me and for you and for everybody else, but for profit for large corporations, which, I mean, I don't blame anyone. That's the way the world has worked until now, but it doesn't have to be this way. And I realized that the cities that we're living in don't promote first, quality of life, and second, personal growth. Everyone is locked in their small cave, dark cave. We don't spend time out in nature. We don't have a really strong community of like-minded people that like to go into the same direction. Most of us are just hooked into this matrix where we work 9 to 5. We struggle to pay the bills, and we just never have time to spend time with our family, take care of ourselves, and do something that really inspires us. So I realized it is one thing, which I do as well, to create online courses and seminars and to be able to help people with knowledge. But it is a totally different level to actually be able to build this physical space for them to either come and experience for a couple of weeks or months or to be able to live full time. And that's when I got the idea, when I asked the question, like, what is the best thing that I can give to people in this world? I meditated on it, and I just got the answer, like, build a city that will be able to promote all these things for people's lives. And it was just a basic idea at first. Now it's like 1,000 things in one, and I'm just trying to make it very simple and systematic to be able to start. Obviously, when the coronavirus hit us, it was all stopped for now. At the moment, I'm looking for a piece of land somewhere between Orange County and San Diego. And we will start hopefully building it this year. And when I say building, that's the amazing thing. We have so much amazing technology right now that is allowing us to create communities and buildings without actually building. And that will be 10 times cheaper than the conventional buildings that we're living in. And it will be 10 times better in terms of quality of life. But nobody from the big corporations is doing it because they're so used to their old ways of being. So I want to be able to get all of the best of that technology has to offer, take all of the best that personal development world has to offer, and just combine it into this one thing where we're able to really go and get really immersed into a place that can really transform your life in a matter of weeks.
So this is like, you're talking about like 3D printers that can make buildings, like things like that kind of technology.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. So and then this will be a place with buildings and sidewalks and parks and all that kind of stuff, right? How big a piece of land are you looking for?
We're looking for something bigger than 20 acres. So it can be 100 acres. It depends on the price and quality we're able to find. Obviously, location is super important because I also want to create forests, edible forests in this place. We'll hire people that are experts in forestation, basically into planting forests. And I don't mean like parks or just a couple of trees here and there. I mean like a proper forest which can have biodiversity. And hopefully in the long term, enough food to be able to feed all of the residents of this place.
This is wild, man. And it's a
It
big, big,
is.
big, big vision. How do you do a business plan for something like this or budget for something like this when it's
You
never been
don't.
done before?
You don't. You just
Right,
start.
right. I mean, yeah,
You just start, and that's the thing. Like when people hear city, they think that I'm completely nuts. But every single city in the world, including all of the cities that we're living in right now, all the huge modern metropolis, they all started with one house, right?
hmm
And that's what we're gonna do, because I'm thinking that I will probably not get investors, because I want this thing to be completely free from people telling you what to do and how to do it and waiting for you to be able to start making that much money, because I wanted to make it as affordable as possible for people, and really
Right.
long term to be able to build more cities like this, have a blueprint of how to make them very cheap and at the same time at a really high quality. And this blueprint will be available for everyone online. So if you want to build it at your place, you don't have to move here and live in our city. You can build it exactly the same without having to pay me or anyone anything. You will have everything, how much it costs, how it is built, how to create these forests, how to start having food without waiting for Whole Foods to deliver to your door or something like this. Just you will be able to be completely disconnected from the system that we're living in. Not that you have to, but it's a good to have it as an option in just in case, right?
I listen, man. I'm not one that thinks you're crazy. I love big thinkers. If you know, I tell my kids all the time, dude, whatever you want to do, man, do it. Let's go, do it. Because I don't want to shut anybody down, man. I want to help people. If they have a big vision, it's crazier. The crazier it is, the better. You know what I mean? So I commend you for that, man. And if there's anything I can ever do to help you out, let me know. I'm here for you because now we're friends, and I appreciate you, man. And by the way, how can my audience get engaged with you, and what kind of services or whatever? Plug away, man.
Well, obviously, they can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on SimeonIvanov.com, and I'll be happy to give them a little present. I started doing this recently, but for anyone who is interested in the book and the system, instead of paying $20 or $10 on it on Amazon, they can get it for 50 cents. And I don't like to give it for free, because if someone gets it for free, they don't value it and they don't read it. And I really want people to read it so they can get the benefits out of it. Give it a try. This thing, I believe, will change your life. It has changed the lives of many people already. But yeah, if they are interested, I will send you a link for them to be able to get the book for just 50 cents.
Okay, and guys, you can go message him on Instagram, and he'll give you that link as well. So, but yeah, man, listen, I'm just amazed by your plan, and I really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I really appreciate you having me, man. That's been amazing. You're a great host. Your show is awesome.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing your growth as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm here to support you, brother. So if there's anything I can do, let me know. And thank you so much. And you guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy C-Roc. I appreciate all of you guys. Please go subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or whatever your favorite one is. And if you like to watch these, go check out my YouTube channel, Mike C-Roc Sirocco. You can watch these. I put them all up there as well. And until next time, I'm your boy C-Roc. Be great.